Hello, I'm Basim. I've been friend with Sam since probably 2011, and I've been coming to Social 119 since 2012 or 13. Uh, I grew up, I'm from Iraq originally. I came to the United States in 1981, spent about 8 years in the United States before going back to Iraq. I'm currently living in Iraq between Erbil and Mosul. So today, class, I'd like to tell our students and our audience that there is no lecture today and we're coming online because Sam is away and Laurie. So Sam asked me to fill in for him. So today's lecture would be about my revisiting the United States in 2018 since I left in 1988. So it will be a recollection of my first visit in about 30 years. So today's lecture will be an overview of how I met Sam. In 2010, I was sitting in front of my computer, going through YouTube videos, and suddenly I find a YouTube clip under the title Radical Experiment in Empathy. I did not know what empathy meant, so I looked it up at the dictionary, and the word caught my attention, so I watched the clip. The clip was talking about the war in Iraq and the American invasion to Iraq, and really the clip was, the TEDx talk was really interesting, and I was surprised to find an American pitch an idea that was not really common to me. And I was really interested. The next day I sat down and I watched it again because I was so interested in the talk. 2 more days I Googled Sam. I found his email and I emailed him and I told him what I felt about his TEDx talk. And we got talking. And we will usually talk every 2 or 3 weeks. We will Skype. There was no Zoom at that time. So we will Skype every 2 or 3 weeks until 2012 or 13, when Sam asked me to come into his class. So I've been visiting Social 119 since 2012. It was interrupted in 2015 after ISIS entered Mosul, and I came back to Social 119 in 2017, I believe, 16 or 17. So I was very interested in what Sam was talking about, and I wanted to make sure that the Iraqis' voice is heard. So in 2018, Sam invited me to travel to the United States for the first time, and I did. In 2019, I came back again to Social 119. I had 2 talks, and in late 2018, I became aware of Wording Conversation, and that's how Wording Conversation came to Iraq. And we have now been with part of Wording Conversation since late 2018. The TEDx talk was about empathizing with the Iraqis and how we as Iraqis felt of the invasion. Sam did a really great job at that talk, and that's what really caught my attention. Coming back to Penn State for the first time was a really, really big experience for me, standing in front of 750 students was something scary at the first time, but on the next class, I got used to it. I really enjoyed it. I felt the warm welcome of the Social 119 students. And I consider myself a friend of Social 119 because I usually on Sam's class every semester, and that is really amazing for me. Uh, it keeps me trying to give a sense of what's happening in Iraq, especially what happened in 2014 to 2017 when ISIS invaded Iraq. In 2014, they invaded Mosul, and I was in Mosul at that time. And our lives turned over. The life that we were used to it was turned upside down. And I was under ISIS rule until September of 2015. That's when my house was bombed, and I lost my wife, my daughter, my brother, and my nephew. A month later, I had to leave Iraq to Turkey to undergo a surgery in Turkey, where I stayed there until December of 2016, and I traveled back to Baghdad, stayed in Baghdad for 6-7 months, and I moved to Erbil, where I am currently residing. And so what happened to me was a life changer. When you hear about war and accidents, you never think that this will come to you. Well, it came to my doorstep and to my house, and I lost 4 loved ones. So what is happening now in Gaza and Israel is heartbreaking to me, because seeing the amount of destruction that's happening with the bombing reminded me of what happened in Mosul during the liberation of the city in 2016 and 2017. The war is always ugly, whether you are the aggressor or the victim. Everybody will get hurt, and you can never recover. You can never recover from a war. Even if you rebuild, you will have something inside you that was broken, and it's really, really difficult to heal. So just watching the news and of what's happening to both sides is heartbreaking to see civilians, and I insist of the word civilians, getting killed in a bombing from both sides. I really pray for this war to end, because if it escalates, the whole area will be in shambles and everybody will be hurt. I'm open for any questions if anybody has questions. Well, while we're waiting for questions, I would like to tell you about my relationship with Sam and Lori. Sam and Lori, they visited me in Iraq in 2018 in Christmas, and we had a beautiful 2 weeks here. And I met them again in 2019. Last year, we traveled to the Netherlands to visit the Mandeville Academy, where Sam and I gave a talk at the academy. My relationship with Sam is very deep. We share thoughts because we are from the same age category, even though I'm 6 months older than him. but we are from the same generation. We share same hopes, we share same fears, and we do connect really good. So let's see if we have any questions. Okay. I'm waiting for any questions. Freddie asked, what was the like given where you were after ISIS take over? What was it before? Okay, so life before ISIS in 2014, things has really cooled down in Iraq after the sectarian violence that started in 2006 and 2007. Things were getting better, and in June of 2014, we woke up to firing and the bombings, and we thought that this would be like the past few times where militants they take over Mosul, but this time it was different. We saw ISIS among us for the first time, where they with their uniforms and their black flag over their cars, and our life changed. Our life changed dramatically. They started imposing their idea of Islam, which was to most of us was not Islam. It was radical ideas. Suddenly, they forced men to grow beards. They forced women to wear the veil. They shut down the courtrooms because they said there are no courts and the Quran should be our law. They later started picking up army officers, police officers, police personnel, and they would just do executions. And their true face began to emerge 3 to 4 months after the invasion of Mosul. But it really got even worse, but I did not experience it because I left Mosul, as I said, in September or October of 2015, but it got really, really ugly after that time until they were forced to leave Mosul. Okay, so in 1979, I finished my high school in Mosul, and my father wanted me to get an education outside of Iraq. So my cousin was in England, and I left to England in 1979, where I studied my English, and I studied 2 years of what's known there is A level. My uncle lived in Michigan since 1975, and one day he just called me and said, Basam, why don't you come to the United States? You will have better education here. And I talked to my parents, and they agreed, and in 1981, I moved. I moved to Ypsilanti, Michigan, where Eastern Michigan University was there. In 1982, I started a BSc in computer science, but 2 years later, I switched major to industrial engineering, and I moved to Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and I graduated in 1988, and I went back home. Alex from Germany asked, how do you feel about the Gaza war? You said that you want the war to stop. How do you find a way to peace? Well, this is a very complicated question. It's a very complicated issue. Both sides fear that they are victims. The Palestinians in Gaza, they have probably 1,200, 1,300 prisoners in Israel, and they feel that they are being taken without any reason to be there. So they attacked Israel to take hostages to negotiate the release of their victims, of their prisoners. I cannot be a good person to explain what's happening, but for people in Gaza, they feel that they are being attacked harshly. The only solution in my mind, which everybody talks about, is a two-state solution. The Palestinians will have their state, the Israelis will have their state. And, Gaza, even though they are living, but they are under siege all the time. Nothing comes in without the agreement of the Israelis. They cannot travel, they cannot go anywhere. So they are living in a big prison, in my opinion. Without a two-state solution, it would be difficult to end this war. And I really wish that this war does not escalate more, because more international sides will be part of this war, and the whole area will be in a mess. Okay, we have guy from North Carolina asks, when I was in Iraq, a lot of civilians did not want us to leave and were scared of what would happen when we did. How is life in Iraq now? Better? Okay, you were in Iraq in 2007. Okay, so there's this idea that there's two factions in Iraq. People who feel that the Americans are and still an invasion force in Iraq, and they want them back. And these sides are the people who are backed by Iran, and they feel that the Americans are still an invading force, while the Americans who are in Iraq now are in 3 bases, I think, and they serve as advisors to the Iraqi army and Iraqi military. And I have many journalist friends. I cannot talk about military personnel, who I don't think they go off base much, but for civilians, even in Mosul, who was very dangerous, now everybody is in Mosul. In Erbil is totally safe. In Baghdad, there are some areas that are safe, and there are some areas that are not. But now, after last week, the US has issued a warning for people to travel in Iraq because of what's happening between Israel and the Palestinians. So they are scared for the safety of the Americans that might be taken hostage or be hurt because of the American stand with Israelis. Okay, opinionated Matt, we are friends on the stream. We are friends on the chat. Nice to have a question from you and answer you. So now I have a few things to do. I'm currently the Iraqi manager for warding conversation in Iraq. We have 5 locations with more than 300 students that are in 11 international dialogues with the Penn State University students. I am also now part of an NGO called Civic, civilians in conflict, where I was asked to be a part of their board, and I just started working with them. I also work with a group of lawyers in New York and DC, where I help the victims in Mosul, particularly, who suffered from the war in 2014 to 17 to liberate Mosul from ISIS. I help them to fill some forms. I help them translate forms that need to be sent to the United States. We file Salacia forms on their behalf. So that's what I'm doing currently. Yuri, what is something about Iraqi people and Iraqi culture that everyone should know? What do you think of when you think of Iraq? So this is a good question. Iraqis, they are very generous people. They receive the guest really warmly. They open their homes to any guest who comes to Iraq. And Sam can vouch for this when he visited with Lori in 2018. So we are very famous for our food, of course. We have a wide assortment of food that everybody who comes in Iraq becomes addicted to our food. And yeah, the Iraqis are really, really peace-loving people. Sig asked, hello Basim, what is the current security situation in Iraq, Kurdistan, after the conflict between Peshmerga and the government? Was the conflict solved for good? Okay, so the area that this incident happened is about 30 to 40 miles from Erbil. It is a very important area to both the Kurds and the Arabs, and it lies in an intersection to roads between Mahmur, Erbil, Mahmur, Mosul, Mahmur, Kirkuk. What happened was 4 locations that was evacuated by the PKK, which is the people who fight the Turks. They left their post, and both the Iraqi side and the Kurdish Peshmerga wanted to take these posts for themselves. And there was some skirmishes between them. But good thing is Iraqi army jumped in and they solved the problem. Sadly, I think we lost 1 soldier and there were 2 injured, but the situation is under control, and hopefully it won't happen again, because there was an agreement between them who will man these posts to take care of the security situation in that area. How is your son? Is your daughter-in-law and your grandbaby? Okay, so my son, my granddaughters, and my daughter-in-law are visiting me from Baghdad for the past week. I'm having a great time with them. Usually I'm here alone by myself, so I get to see them every 2-3 months. I'm having a blast with them, and I'm having a good time. I have 2 granddaughters. One is 5.5 years, and the second is about 6 months now. I was meeting Mr. Rashidi. So Mr. Rashidi and we've been friends online for about 3 to 4 years, and he is a great person. He's a very decent man, and it was wonderful meeting him at the airport in Amsterdam when we arrived, me, Sam, and Lori. And he did not leave us for a minute. He lived in Amsterdam, but we were in a city called Gouda, but the Dutch they call it Gouda, and we were there for a week. And Mr. Rashidi will travel every day from Amsterdam to Gouda in about an hour trip, and he will stay with us until probably the last train going back to Amsterdam. And he's just an amazing person, such a loving person. I can't wait to see him again. What advice do you have for those who have lost loved ones in conflict? Okay, this is a very hard question, depending on the person, depending on your state of mind, depending on your beliefs, depending on your inner strength, depending on your compassion. For me, uh, getting strength from my religion helped me not recover fully, because you can never recover from losing loved ones, but it helped me uh, just live a better life. There isn't a day that I don't remember them, but I remember them in a good way, in a fun way. Remember the good times, never remember the bad times, and that's how. And I always tell everybody that God gave us the gift of forgetfulness. And I said, no, you never forget, but there are times that they're out of your mind. So that's how you live.